So yeah, my first one is lawyers are special, but we're not that special. Earn that seat at the table. There's this, sometimes it could be that sort of poor me, I'm so misunderstood. You know, be somebody that people want at the table.
Do you think that gatekeeper type of that information, do you see it changing just now with AI? And
if that mystique is used as a shield, don't ask me any questions, I've just given you the advice, I've given you the steer, then there are now lots of tools to undo that.
Is there any nuggets in your career that you wish you hadn't acquired or you hadn't picked up?
So I think for me, empathy is a double-edged sword. Ultimately, I wouldn't change it because I'd rather go into situations with a high degree of trust.
Quick break to give you a few words from today's episode sponsor, Wordsmith. Now, most pieces of legal technology and AI now within the legal market, they're built mainly for law firms. Now, Wordsmith isn't. It's been specifically built with in-house legal teams in mind. Now, the general counsels, legal operations teams, basically the people that keep the business moving forward. So the idea is that your team and the AI agents that support it are all connected to the same picture for every job so that they can work together to get it completed. So that legal stops being the bottleneck and starts being the thing that powers everything else in the business. It's a tool that's been built by former lawyers and technologists and has some of the sharpest minds working in the business right now. BT, the Financial Times and Autoglass are already on it. So to find out more, head over to wordsmith.ai.
Hi Selene, thanks for joining today on Lessons I Learned in Law. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, Scott, as you know.
Don't be that way. But it's great to have you as a guest. We've we've been speaking to each other for a while, so nice to sit down and chat now that you're into your a good stint into the role that you're currently holding. So we'll start with that. I'm just keen for a bit of a snapshot and an overview of where you're at the moment. If you could share that, please.
Yeah, well, shall I start by telling you a little bit about PPRO?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're a payments platform and we connect our clients who are mainly merchants and payment services providers to different local payment methods. So I think when we think about payments, at least in the UK, we're very attached to using debit cards. But as soon as you go outside, as you know, in Amsterdam, you're probably familiar with Ideal as a payment method.
Yes.
And that's true across Europe and LATAM. There's a huge diversification of payment methods that consumers want to use. So I'll give you an example. If Harriet Brown were to decide to branch into online sales of chocolate and you want to reach as wide as possible a consumer base, you might come to us because you'd want your Netherlands-based consumers to be able to use Ideal, your Polish ones to be able to use Blick, and your Brazilian ones to use Pix. So we're there to provide those connections into those local payment methods.
Okay, right. Who are the customers of PPRO? How does is the consumer facing business?
No, so we're not consumer facing. We sort of facilitate the online trade. So you'll see the payment methods that we offer as part of the checkout process, but our customers are the merchants that operate the websites that you as the consumer would be shopping on.
Okay, right. And competitors are in that space? How would...
A number of really large payment services providers will go directly to some of those payment methods. So it's not unusual for us to have super close customer relationships. Some will come to us for some of the local payment methods that we connect to, and some might go directly. So there can be a sort of a blend there.
Right, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I am in Amsterdam. There's the Tikkie, and is that something you're aware of as well?
I don't know Tikkie, no.
You split, I think it comes down to going Dutch on, again, I think it's
oh,
all localised.
Yes, yeah,
and you send
the sharing apps.
We'll send you a Tikkie for a beer or something. It's something to get used to as someone that used to buying. I'll get something and then the next person pays the next time. But I know Ideal. I know Ideal well. So that's really good context. And so you joined in March last year. Mm-hmm. So been in your seat, and you're Chief Legal Risk and Compliance Officer.
That's right. Yeah. Longest title in the business.
Yeah, it's the acronym works. So tell me about that position and how that came around.
Yeah. So it's a really broad position, and I've got team members that don't fit into the title, but also take care of things like outsourcing, an amazing internal audit team. So the remit is sort of slightly broader than the title would suggest. It's a real mix. I mean, we just talked there about Tiki. You know, the payments landscape evolves so quickly, so it's super pacey. My boss, the CEO Motti, he joined in October 23, and one of the things that he wanted to do is to create an executive role that brought all of those functions together to help reduce the risk of silos, but also to sort of elevate the role of those functions. Right. And that was a really big reason I was interested in joining PPRO, because I thought it was really interesting to have a CEO with a strong growth agenda who understands the role of, the legal and compliance, the sort of second line functions. Yeah. Like, you could be called the business prevention unit or the police, but to have someone in a role like that who's actually been in second line roles himself in the past was a really big reason that I was attracted to the role. Right.
What was his background prior to that?
So he's been a chief commercial officer for a long time, but I think he probably won't thank me for this, but I believe I started his role in compliance, has previously been a chief risk officer and an MLRO. Right. So has a really deep understanding of a lot of the areas that I cover, which can be a little bit uncomfortable because there's nowhere really to hide when that's the case.
Right. And when you were exploring that opportunity, how did you uncover that was the approach that the business was taking for those functions?
So we've got a really fantastic internal recruitment team. I probably shouldn't. You can edit that bit out, right, Scott.
And, we'll edit out the other payment providers as well.
And I was approached. I wasn't looking at all. It was quite the opposite. I decided that I really wanted to take a bit of time out. To travel, just to regroup and to really think about what I wanted to do next. And I didn't have any strong desire necessarily to look at payments or fintech. I wanted just to take the time. And it was through that initial conversation, when I think I was a little bit reticent about taking the conversation forward, that all of those pieces of background information were shared, and then it's like, well, that's actually quite interesting. Okay, well, maybe I should listen a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then went from. And how long typically that type of process? How long did it take?
It was actually incredibly fast. Right. It was probably a couple of weeks.
Oh wow. Right.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I went from being unenthusiastic from the initial call with our internal recruitment lead, to then meeting the CEO and thinking, wow, that was a great conversation. And then it moved very quickly. And the further I got into the process, the more I loved the people I'd met and the conversations I'd had, and then suddenly felt, oh, wow, I actually really, really want this job. Yeah. So it was actually quite
nice.
Quite
it's
fun
good
process.
When that happens. When you get and you just click with the people. It's
very much
really
so.
important. Yeah. And did you get the chance to travel after or in between?
I did. Yeah. I did quite a lot. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I crashed my eldest son's gap year. Actually, that was one of my crowning achievements.
How did that go down?
I think he was actually quite pleased because I was able to go. I spent a lot of time thinking about people that have been important to me that are a long way away and perhaps I haven't been spending time with. And so I decided to go and see dear friends in Sydney,
Cool.
and that's where he started his gap year. So
Right.
actually, we stayed with them for quite an extended period of time, and it was
Nice.
lovely.
Good.
Yeah, really nice.
Good to get those breaks. Bank of Mum arrives.
Yes.
Helps on the gap year as well. Must have been nice. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that overview. And sorry, one other piece. And so it sits on the exco in the business.
Yes.
The role.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we'll jump in then. If you could, we'll start with lesson number 1. if you
Wow.
share that.
Yeah. So I shared the bullets with you. I'm just going to turn the notes so I can actually remember.
Yeah. Light
first one,
touch. Light
yes.
touch prep, I would say.
A very light touch. This is a theme. So yeah, my first one is lawyers are special, but we're not that special.
Okay. Right. And where did you form your thinking on that?
The sort of sometimes slightly elevated role that in-house legal teams give themselves can actually be quite counterproductive in terms of the intended results.
Right.
So, I mean, not always, but sometimes there can be a bit of a tendency to, in a positive way as well, see yourselves as guardians of a firm's ethics. And I think that's great, and we obviously have a super important role there. But if you sort of approach it as if it's you over and above everybody else, I actually think that can be quite alienating and have the opposite of the intended effect.
Right.
And I think sometimes lawyers can look at the sort of the legal issue and elevate that to a higher level than perhaps it actually has. There's most things, including litigation, there are lots of other drivers there, and the legal issue is absolutely part of it, and occasionally it might be the biggest thing, but often there's a lot of other things going on there as well. And I think that's really fun and interesting, because it means that you're collaborating with a whole group of people that think differently from you, that have different drivers or have different views of what a good outcome is. And it means that you can really sort of build the legal approach into that and have fun with that wider context. But you have to be able to, sort of downgrade some of the so whats of the legal outcomes there to do that, I think.
Yeah. And where do you think why do you think lawyers have that elevated mindset?
Well, I mean, I think there's been quite a few sort of Hollywood movies and TV series. Ally McBeal has got a lot to us. There's a lot of there's a lot of great collateral where there's sort of these defining moments, and there's sort of the importance of law and how law is used as a tool and things. So I don't think it's completely sort of without context or reason. I just think possibly in the day-to-day, it might not be quite the driver that running the business more widely might be.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bit of a mystique, I suppose there's a mystique around the profession to an extent, and like that advisory position, and instructing lawyers or instructing counsel. And do you think that gatekeeper type of that information, do you see it changing just now with AI? And I've heard clients, self-serving people within businesses using AI.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that if that mystique is used as a shield and a sort of don't ask me any questions, I've just given you the advice, I've given you the steer, then there are now lots of tools to undo that. I think that kind of shield has probably always been quite thin, though, because I don't know, I think if you try and approach things with a bit of vulnerability and humility, and happy that maybe you've made some wrong assumptions and maybe you don't have the answers, then you're not putting forward something that you then sort of have to defend if you're reversing or changing. You're there to be part of the solution, but not the only part of it. But I definitely think that AI has turning everybody into lawyers and everything else.
Experts at everything, right? It's you have to be mindful of it, and I guess disclose that's being used to an extent. How with like legal conferences and agenda topics for legal conferences, right? And that special role. A lot of it can be around, well, the lawyer should have a seat at the table. Do you think there's anything there where conference like that type of rhetoric in that environment, does that feed the alienation perhaps, or the idea that there's the special ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've touched a bit of a nerve for me there, Scott. I really don't like those conferences.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be your topic? What would be a topic of choice for you?
Probably around diversity.
Mm-hmm.
If I was there at all, that would probably be the thing. But someone that's actually genuinely doing something rather than talking about it. And at that whole thing, the seat about the table, I mean, I don't know if I rolled my eyes, but I definitely wanted to earn that seat at the table. There's this, sometimes it can be that sort of poor me, I'm so misunderstood, you know, be somebody that people want at the table.
How do you do that?
Hopefully by being approachable and being demonstrably constructive and wanting to be part of a solution and seeing something as a shared problem, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. You ask my stakeholders, they might be rolling their eyes at that point as well.
No, I'm sure not. And then when you're building out and hiring hiring lawyers, how do you weed people out that maybe have that attitude? That, like, is it something you test for specifically?
I don't think I can't really remember coming across it in interviews so much. So I wouldn't say I've felt a need to weed it out. It's more probably trying to find someone that I think really wants the role. I mean, that sounds basic, I know, but you want somebody that feels excited to be part of doing what you're doing, and maybe they don't know everything there is about the company or how you work, and maybe their background isn't, you know, exactly ticking all of the boxes you want. But if I think hearing about them coming through different challenges and the way they've approached that, I think could be really telling.
Right. So quite conversational and just hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely used sort of hypothetical worked examples in roles as well. I'm not using them currently. Well, actually, there's one that we're thinking about introducing it for. But I think those are helpful as well. But I always feel a bit guilty because when I'm doing it, I think, God, I really wouldn't like to be on the other side of this. But I do think they're useful, just in terms of showing how people sort the wheat from the chaff, or whether they take a scenario as presented, or whether they choose to ask some questions about the scenario before they dive in. So I think you learn quite a lot from them.
Yeah, because I suppose from that perspective, if they jump in with an answer, then they're probably exhibiting I've got all the answers.
Or just
mindset.
Terrified with nerves as well. Like
yeah, that might be it. I used to. I was. Yeah, given we do now advise people on going to interviews, I was not a good interviewee.
Did you ever have to do the sort of hypothetical examples?
Yeah, I guess during training contract applications and everything around that, I don't feel I was a very good performer at interview. It was mainly, I got my training contract from a summer internship, and then I must have interviewed for that. It was a group. I think the interview process for that was a group discussion, and then it was more of an assessment centre rather than a panel interview with that type of answer response. So yeah, sort of ironic that you're then advising people on how to prepare for an interview.
But aren't the best interviews when they just feel like you've just had a fantastic conversation?
I think so. Yeah. But I guess the reason why you have these questions, I guess, is to get more of the nuts and bolts. I think you can probably be a very good people person and get through an interview like that where it's purely conversational. It's difficult to get right for us as well now. Interviewing people to join our team, it's always quite because I think the relationship is the most important thing in my head. But try to reset and the technical aspects, and how challenging people as well is important. And does that like when you're managing, does it affect the way you manage people in that with that lesson?
I honestly don't think I've had that in teams. It's more something I've probably observed from those conferences that I tend not to go to.
Yeah.
Or it's something that I've heard played back, where each time you join a new job, and I've had a few, you kind of assume that the landscape is the way that you found it, and you're just doing what anyone would do in your role. And then sometimes someone will say, oh yeah, no, it never used to work like that. It used to be something quite different. And sometimes they describe something that sounded very ivory tower, or very sort of like, well, I've told the business what to do, and if they won't listen to me, well, that's it. I've done my job, and sort of move away. And so I think it's probably things that I've heard about, or attitudes I've observed, rather than things I've seen in a team that I've been part of.
Right, cool. And then going back, so started in private practice.
Yes.
Moves in-house. What was your motivating factor there? And
So I fell out of love with private practice, and for a while obviously not everything, but there were loads of things. I really liked deals. I really liked deal cycles. I was doing project finance, and that always felt really quirky. It was sort of mining projects in Africa, or oil and gas projects in the Caribbean or the Middle East. It was always the things that felt quite cool and interesting. And then at some point it just stopped, and it was quite abrupt. And I was in New York at the time, and I met my now husband, and we moved back to London. And this is going to sound so bad, I just got a job in-house, because I thought that's it's just what you do. It's either private practice or in-house. I didn't actually give it really any thought about where I was going, because it's in-house.
Yeah.
It's all assumed it's all the same, exactly. It wasn't the fancy name of the law firm that I recognised. It was just in-house. So, I quickly realised that perhaps I needed to think that one through a bit further.
And where was that move? Where was the first move to?
It was to the UK branch of a European bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Is that the one that went?
No, that was another one.
Okay.
That was the one after that.
Right. And how was that?
The first one.
No, the one. The
second one. Really, like, the benefit of hindsight, I learned so much. I was straight into firefighting. So the first one. And I know the person who became general counsel, and I know he ran the team very differently. But when I was there, it was very much set up as a kind of a miniature law firm, but with a very narrow practice area. So you've had very little in the way of interaction with your clients. Like, all of the things that you actually do want to go in-house for was, I think, intentionally absent from it. So it didn't work for me at all. The second one was much more in the thick of it, and so much firefighting. And I remember getting a phone call from a very exercised US partner, and he was telling me, we've got a relate problem. And I was the only lawyer in the team at the time, so I took the call. And I wrote down relate problem, and in my mind I was thinking, I wonder if they have some sort of corporate arbitration sort of branch to relate. And then about 10 minutes into the conversation, I realised he was saying Rule 8, and there was a potential takeover code breach, which I'd never heard. So there was a lot of learning on your feet, and the remediation actions in relation to that were just unbelievable. I mean, it was putting don't deal notices, calling people in islands that are dark for 23 hours of the day at parts of the year, and getting them to go and put don't deal notices on people's laptops. It was very very nuts and bolts. Very hands-on, if you will.
Yeah, very much. So then, taking that call, were you thrown into that project?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Well, I think there were only 2 or 3 of us, so I mean, it was.
Yeah, very good. Cool. Well, there's loads there to very very colourful start to that move in house then.
Yes.
Just interrupting today's show to tell you a little bit about who's behind this podcast. So I'm founder of Harriet Brown, and we're a recruitment business that focuses purely on recruiting lawyers and compliance professionals into in-house legal teams. Our job is simple. We connect great legal teams with fantastic lawyers who are looking to build interesting and fulfilling in-house legal careers. This podcast grew out of conversations that we were already having with top general counsels and chief legal officers around the globe. So if you're interested in hearing about the market, what your next move might look like, or if you're interested in being connecting and selling to top lawyers in-house, then feel free to reach out.
So we'll move on to lesson 2.
So lesson 2, I've titled Make It Count.
Okay.
And I think there might be a few similar themes throughout all of mine, but I do think that we are, people in my position, we've got such a position of privilege. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Like the conundrums that we get to work through, the access to decision making, the impact on decision making, it's really great. And I think there's a responsibility that comes with that to do something good with it. So obviously everyone should want to do a really great job, but actually your ability to personally impact others is outsized to the effort it takes. Right. And that's what I meant. That's what I meant by that.
All right. So, and how in that 14 months that you've been at PPRO, how have you made it count, and what was your intention to make it count in that time?
Yeah, so I try and make sure I don't shy away from difficult conversations, and I try and have those with as much empathy and honesty as possible. It's really trying to make sure that you're leading with honesty and kindness, even if the conversations are uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then I guess by that I also mean outside of your immediate role or outside of my immediate role. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky enough to have such a fantastic network. Mm-hmm. It's not, you forget how if you don't have that background or aunts and uncles in those situations, it's all so mysterious. Mm-hmm. It's actually really easy for me to have a call with someone or a chat with someone and find out what they're interested in and think about, maybe you should talk to so-and-so. They know a bit more about that. So I mean it in that way as well, sort of wider than your sort of immediate environment,
right.
But also, also for others that are trying to get, or trying to figure out what their next steps are or a foothold into the profession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, you mentioned earlier about the people talking about diversity and talking around it rather than doing it. When is there a moment in your career where you've leaned more heavily into that or seen the benefit of doing so that's formed that view? Because I know you're very active in the in doing and having those types of conversations.
I don't know, probably around 2016 or 2017, I was working in an insurance environment on some really difficult matters, really, really tough stuff around investigations, and it can get quite negative and have really hard knock-on effects with the people that are directly impacted. And Freshfields was supporting us on that at the time. And they invited me and a colleague to go and see a presentation on something called the Freshfields Stephen Lawrence program or foundation. Anyway, it was really, really great. And it felt, so uplifting to be invited to potentially have a role in just simple stuff like mentoring or conversations or introducing students to the world of insurance and what insurance brokers do. And again, for us, quite an easy step, and actually also potentially quite helpful step in terms of identifying fantastic talent and attracting them into the profession. And then I think in common with a lot of people in 2020, with the Black Lives Matter movement, feelings of shock and outrage, but then also just thinking, okay, well, what have I done? You know, this stuff matters to me, but really, what have I done? You know, I work in an environment that has a fairly high degree of homogeneity to it. What am I personally doing about this? And that led to a really interesting conversation with a company called AccuTrainee. The lovely man Kevin called me, I think, because he thought I was still in my old job and that he was selling to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, actually, I've been meaning to call you because their model, which is so really around alternative paths, probably less alternative now, like but not going through the traditional private practice training contract experience to qualify, but doing a series of in-house or private practice, but a sort of a blended mix of ways into a training contract. And actually, those were really great conversations, and their model lended itself beautifully to exactly that. And really pleased to have any interactions with that team as a good series of interactions.
You guys on Susan as well. It's funny. I think because at that time, I think we were talking maybe prior to that when you were at Aon, but then spoke a little bit more during COVID at that time, 2020.
Was I trying to sell you on that as well?
You were trying to sell me on that. No, I don't think so.
Oh, I missed a trick. I was. I bet I was. I was just obviously not doing it very successfully.
You were trying to sell me on AccuTrainee.
on finding ways to open up roles.
No, you were. I mean, there's something we try to do, and I don't think anyone's perfect. I think when you reflect on that though, from 2020 to now, and I think the profession has made some decent movement forward. As you sort of alluded to, like AccuTrainee, where there was this thinner in terms of the competition or the alternative routes into the profession. I feel there has been genuine move forward in access, but I don't think it's anywhere near where it should be. Kevin, I had, when I was looking to leave law and I was working in Australia, Kevin was at Elevate at the time, and I knew I was like just wanting a sales role within legal in London because we were moving back from Sydney, and I had contacted John Croft at Elevate and was asking. I'd been around every alternative legal service providers. That was the legal tech at that point in time, and he put me in touch with Kevin, and I met him for a coffee. There wasn't a position there that I wanted anyway, and ended up in recruitment. But and then started talking to Kevin after that. At that point in time as well.
Oh,
Small
nice.
world, small world.
Really nice.
I
love it when small world connections happen. I just think it's just such a joy.
And the relationship piece is so important, right? And people remember I think how you act and how you deal. It's really important to be as present in most engagement that you have. It's great to. It's good to hear, because I think people shout. I think I agree with you. Like, I think people shout about it, like that particular subject matter, and like when you scratch the surface, there's not much that sits behind it. It's much more meaningful, I think, to be doing the doing than talking about it. Yeah,
and you just mentioned the relationship bit, and it is. You know, you've formed an incredible set of friendships with an age group, a demographic that I accidentally. Love living in Clapham, but it's quite a bubble, and the friendships that I've had from those sort of call them mentoring, but it's definitely two-way mentoring, have been really great and sustained. So I think people should emphasise the funness in diversity and those elements of it as well, because it's been really great that way.
Yeah, you just meet different characters. I think that if the circle is if you're impacting, like you're keen for your view on that, but you said like what have I done, but if you're impacting an immediate circle or like people that you're having those mentoring relationships and one-to-one time, then that's what gives you fulfillment.
100%. And then you then have a pool of people that are ready to mentor others.
It's a ripple.
I'm using that now. There's someone that I think would be perfect for AccuTrainee, and I've put him in touch with someone that went through the AccuTrainee program and is now working in Dubai, and to chat it through. So it's a really nice circle.
Yeah. And your background, so you grew up in Norfolk, is that right? Right.
Yeah.
How was that in terms of your route into the profession? Like what? How did you get into law?
Yeah, so non-linear, I'd say. I was thinking about that. So I grew up in very rural Norfolk. I mean, there's probably about 150 people maximum in the village that I grew up in. I left home when I was 16 to the big bad city of Norwich to do my A-levels. And then I really did gravitate towards wanting to be in a big city. That felt, and I think probably a bit of a reaction to long winters in rural Norfolk.
Yeah. Is that coastal?
Yeah, not on the coast inland, but close, like 7 miles away, so not far. Which is lovely. It's really nice. And then for law, I decided to study law at university and absolutely loved it. Some really strong relationships with different professors, and one of my professors had gone into academia through doing a master's. So I thought, I'll do that, because originally I thought I would probably go into academia at some point. So that was my thinking. I had a brilliant time doing a master's, but I very quickly realised I didn't want to have a career in academia. But that was I was in the US then, and went to visit a family friend who took me for a tour around the West Village in New York. And I just remember being on a Greyhound bus back to Boston and just had this mantra going through my head, which is, I've got to get a job in New York. I've got to get a job in New York. And the way for me to do that was to work for a law firm and to get the visa sponsorship, so I could do that. So, and I've loved my career in law, but it was very much to get me to New York was the was the first.
And how long did you spend in New York?
First time, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years in total. I went backwards and forwards between New York and London for a few years.
I'm going to Boston next month for the World Cup. Scotland are playing.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
oh, amazing.
The first game in Boston.
Oh, well done.
I'm sort of relatively anxious about going to the US, but for reasons. But
no, understandably so. I've had that
for the World Cup, which has been an absolute. Like the ticketing system has just been so ridiculously.
It's amazing
corrupt.
You got the tickets, right?
Yeah, it was because there's they've been doing FIFA have been doing. I'll probably edit this out. FIFA have been doing secondary sales. Like they've not even announced whether the games are sold out. So they've done a release, and then you queue for ages, and then they do, as soon as that closes and they've sold whatever they've released, they then open up their own resale website that you can go on and resell the tickets at 3 times the price. So I've not got anywhere near I forgot about a couple of dates where they've gone on sale, and I was consigned to paying stupid money, but I booked flights and accommodation before getting a ticket. And then the Scottish supporters had gone, fuck that. They set up a WhatsApp group for people that had probably bought tickets in the official sale, but had already bought them in the first resale at a higher price, and then they were reselling them at the value that they bought them at. So rather than resell the resale.
Nice. So
we got them through that at a reasonable cost, which was quite good. And there was a charitable donation to it and stuff as well. But it was a bit of a long-winded way to get them. But yeah, Boston. If you've got any tips on Boston,
they might be slightly out of date, but Charles River.
Charles River. We'll get a baseball game then, I think. As
and
well.
definitely Harvard Square, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And you did the LLM in
I did,
Harvard.
yeah.
So was that a year spent there?
The school year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
nice.
really, really good fun.
Yeah.
Friends for life, really. I knew it was a big deal at the time, and it was something I wanted so badly. But looking back, it was even more of a big deal. Like just that time to be there and the people that I met and the things that were going on in the world at the time. It was, really cool.
Nice. What year was that you were there?
I would have been 96.
Okay. I did an internship in a law firm in Boston, criminal law firm. It was
Oh, really?
a couple of months. Family connection, family friend or distant relative. But yeah, it was eye-opening. Criminal law in America is just different kettle of fish from the UK.
I haven't had much experience
No.
either, I'm pleased to say.
Yeah, but the guy Jeff had a firm, and he was on like CNN doing these like high-profile cases, murder trials and things like I think there was an accident in Boston. There was a collapsed bridge, or like the Big Dig. There was an underpass, and a lot of I think immigrant workers died, and he was representing the families of the immigrant workers, so it was getting a lot of press coverage. Really interesting, but yeah, then you came back to the UK and like criminal law. I was always drawn. I don't know about you, but like the subject matter of criminal law was really interesting. I found at uni, but then as a career, it didn't feel like it had the.
So I think it might have been the professor that I had doing criminal law. So he really delighted in the most sexually salacious cases, and I just found that so creepy.
Yeah.
That I didn't. But then since then, understanding a little bit more about white collar crime and that sort of work, I think that's really interesting, and the sort of interplay between law and regulation and the human beings that are being impacted by what's happening. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think like with whoever you're working with as well, and a partner in a law firm, I think it depends. Like professors there, it depends who's doing the doing, and who your role models are is really really important. He had been on the Gaddafi trial, like the Pan Air bombing and the Lockerbie bombings and stuff in Libya. So he had amazing stories.
For people hiring lawyers, no doubt the hardest challenge is to get the right people and the passive talent interacting with your role and seeing that opportunity. The best people aren't necessarily looking on job boards. We speak to hundreds of lawyers each week, and those conversations can either be with active candidates or with people who aren't open to a move right now. But we bring them all into the Lodge job platform. And this is an opportunity for hiring managers to sell and bring their opportunity within their team to life and connect them directly with that talent. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more and potentially trialing this platform, then head on over in the link in the show notes below or drop us a message, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
We'll move on to lesson 3.
Lesson 3, yes, and I spoke about this one with quite a few people actually, and I'd like to give kudos to my friend Michelle for branding it.
Okay.
So this is gather the nuggets.
Okay.
Do you know what this is? Are you like
know.
Chicken or?
Yeah, chicken nuggets. Yeah.
So, as you'll have seen from my LinkedIn profile, I've had a long career with many different roles, and.
I didn't want to say that.
Well, you asked me what year I was in Harvard, so unless I've taken a 10-year gap here or something. So, and I think there's always something to take away from the different experiences that you have, and you can't mould yourself into being somebody that you're not, and if you tried, it'd be exhausting and probably fail. And I don't think you have to be a certain way to be successful. I think at the beginning of your career, you maybe think you do. You need to talk in a certain way, etc., etc. But I think every place that I've worked, I can't think of a single place where I haven't taken something really meaningful to me, for me, like either relationships, work experiences, and that includes times that haven't been great, the role that sounded amazing and really wasn't, or the boss you thought was great and really wasn't. So I think, and there's nothing you can do about that, right? Because that's just life. But I think there's always incredible learnings that all of those experiences give you, and friendships as well. So that's what I meant with that one. Is like,
yeah. And do you track those learnings, and do you write them down or journal, or how do you?
No, I think they become part of who you are and how you interact, and sometimes things happen that you're reminded really acutely of them, and you remember that. And certainly with the relationships, a lot of them I'm still in touch with, or I think about all the time, which for me feels like I'm in touch with.
Okay, yeah. And how do you keep in touch with? How regularly in touch with people that are instrumental in your career?
Yeah, well, my kids are much older now, so I've got a lot more free time. So there'll be a lot more dinners and catching up like that. People that travel in and out of London, so when they're around, try and see them. So probably nothing particularly profound or exciting, but when somebody gets under my skin, they're really under my skin. And someone I was just having a conversation with recently, and she was saying in Lithuanian there's an expression for it, and it really matters to me. It's sort of I would never want to let those relationships go. So even if it's not people that I see once a year, once every couple of years, and still very much feel sort of present, and there are conversations that I reflect on regularly. Yeah.
I love those little sayings like translated from another language, and there's always I just like them. So hear some in the Netherlands, and try to remember them from time to time. But it's quite cute when you hear something said in a
and then sometimes it's literal. It's so exactly the same.
Awesome. Is there any nuggets in your career that you wish you hadn't acquired or you hadn't picked up?
Yeah, so I think, yes and no. So I think for me, empathy is a double-edged sword. And with it, I think, comes quite a high degree of trust. And I wouldn't change it, because I'd rather go into situations with a high degree of trust. But it definitely is not great when it turns out you've put your trust in the wrong person or organisation. So that's probably one that I will probably continue to learn from.
Due diligence changes the next time.
Due diligence, things change. You know, things can start. You can do your due diligence. You can get a really solid sense of something, and then it can still change, which is okay, because I think another thing that I know about myself now, a lot sort of further into my career, is that one of the really big drivers for me is agency and independence. So, and again, that's nice to have when your kids are a bit older, and you've got a little bit more freedom in terms of your decision making. But the ability to walk away from situations that aren't working for you is really important to me. Yeah,
nice. Well, it sounds like things are the due diligence has been very good at PPRO, and things sounds like it's going well in the first 14 months. So I'm delighted about that.
No, it's 2 years. I joined.
2 years.
Yeah, okay. 2 years and a bit.
March.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. And then nuggets. If you were to dip a chicken nugget into a sauce, what sauce would you dip it into?
So easy. Blue cheese.
Blue cheese.
Yeah.
Nugget.
I'd rather it was a wing.
Yeah.
But blue cheese.
Oh, really?
I'm fancy like that, Scott. What can I say?
Oh well, we'll leave on that note.
What would yours be? You're shaming me about my blue cheese choice.
Well, I was thinking the options on a McDonald's shelf.
But okay. Well, I'll write to them. I'll give them the suggestion for free.
Should do. Yeah, that's good marketing, I think. Now it'd probably be buffalo or curry, whatever the curry sauce option is. But,
okay, good for you.
Each to their own. We're going to test out. We're going to move to the hot or not segment, if you will. Indulge me.
Okay.
I'll hit you with these. So what I'm looking for is...
I sense some editing coming.
There might be. I think there's been heavy need for that on my part with that Scotland story there. It was drivel.
No, I meant the hot or not section.
Okay.
Right. Inability to respond.
Well, it's just a hot or... You just have to say hot or not, really. And try not to sit on the fence. But
do I have to justify it?
you can do, but try and keep it limited. We don't want caveats.
Okay, no problem. Footnotes.
All right. So the Harvard LLM
Ooh.
as a career investment.
Red hot.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice brand to have. And I always feel that I should apologise to people, to be like, it was actually really, really fun.
Yeah.
And it was, but the brand sort of denotes all kinds of, very august, learned things, but
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
also a lot of fun. Yeah.
And do people gravitate towards asking around
Some
that?
people it really matters to. I think the same kind of people that would see Oxford or Cambridge, and that would be the thing that they go to immediately on the CV. Harvard has that sort of thing as well. So yeah, I'm sure it has opened more doors and started more conversations than would otherwise be the case.
Right.
I'm not sure whether that's totally deserved, but hey.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next one. So, long legal job titles.
Great.
Why are you not adding all the
As
different
long
functions
as you
you've got?
remember to take intake breath before you start announcing your title.
That is progress in a career, though. Surely that that it takes longer to say your
Yeah,
job.
just get a few more put into mine.
Yeah, fair. PSD3.
Oh yes. Well, yeah, it's unavoidable. So it's definitely hot
Yes.
from that perspective. Yeah.
Okay. And I've got one last one. You must train in private practice in order to get to the top of the legal profession.
You know my answer to that. Not, although I would never denigrate private practice training, because I do think an awful lot comes with that, and the attention to detail, being beasted by a partner over something that seems insanely unfair at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it does definitely stand you in good stead. But then I think people skills, understanding that there are multiple perspectives, and stakeholder management, I think that probably comes quicker and earlier in outside of private practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Companies hiring their C-suite directly.
I think only if it's Jez and Matt doing the hiring, then it's fine, and it shouldn't be outlawed anywhere else, obviously,
Okay.
Scott.
Yeah. Fair. And finally, Harriet Brown's Burns Night is the best
Absolutely.
fixture in the legal calendar.
Absolutely, and I could, hand on heart, I absolutely love it, and I'm delighted that I'm still an honorary member of the insurance industry for
table.
purposes of that night only. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
That table won a lot in the raffle this year. I
it was
think.
amazing. Yeah.
Matt got a bike, the cowboy bike. Brilliant. All right. That's,
Oh, and I got a coaching session actually
With
with
Jill?
yes.
have you not been in touch?
I'm going to address that.
You should get
I
involved.
will. I think she's absolutely amazing. I
she's
think
brilliant.
everyone wants to be Jill.
Yes. Yeah.
You too?
Yeah. She's doing. She's got a one-woman show, and that she's. I won't be able to name the date, but she's doing it in July, and she's won an award for it because she went to New York with Spencer Stewart, I think. If it wasn't that, it was one of the other Shrek companies, and on their leadership program for female leaders, and she talking about female leadership, and wrote like a spoken word poem
Wow.
for the entirety of her keynote speech.
Oh,
and
wow.
apparently it was incredible. So I've not heard it, but everyone has said it's amazing that's seen it. And she's now taking it as a show that she's doing with her daughter, Connie, who's very theatrical.
That's
and,
incredible.
she's
The
awesome.
speeches was something else.
Yeah,
And it's
they were.
incredible.
I honestly every year I'm like, how the fuck are we going to do that next year? How are we going to do it?
Yeah, you set the bar high.
Yeah.
And
But then
real
again,
mark for
like
the
this
back.
year was insane as well. It's great, but yeah, she's a big part of that, obviously. Cool. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Well, thank you for that
Thank you so
conversation.
much.
It's great to chat and hear all about that experience. And thanks for sharing.
No, I really enjoyed it. Thank you,
Good.
Scott.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've enjoyed the podcast or you've taken anything of value from today's conversation with today's guest, then the best thing you can do is give us a follow on our LinkedIn page, Lessons I Learned in Law Podcast, and to subscribe and give a quick rating to the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really does help it travel and get shared amongst the wider community, and you never know, it could help someone in their career at some point in time. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you again. Thank you.